All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to tonight's neighborhood meeting. My name is Shelby White, and I am a planner with the city's Development Services Department. The focus of tonight's meeting will be on the currently proposed application for a zoning bylaw amendment at 157 Ardagh Road. Please be aware that we are recording this meeting for the public record. All information provided is being collected and will be used for the purpose of garnering your input, to respond to inquiries, and to be notified of future meetings, and will be considered public information. Should you have questions regarding this collection, please contact the Development Services Department. I would like to let everyone know that there are staff behind the scenes managing the technology tonight, and they have the ability to interrupt the meeting at any time, and will endeavor to allow the applicant and each member of the public the opportunity to speak. So please bear with us if we have any issues, and we'll try to get them sorted out as quickly as we can. So there are 7 people on the call with us tonight, including Councillor Natalie Harris, and thank you all for taking time out of your evening to join us tonight. So tonight's meeting is not a statutory requirement under the Planning Act. As the application is in the early stages of the review process, the intent of tonight's meeting is to provide members of the public with an opportunity to become familiar with the application and the planning review process, and also to ask the applicant questions and provide some early feedback. Tonight, you can expect a presentation from the applicant's representative describing the proposal, a brief overview of the city's review process and timing, and an opportunity to ask questions of either the applicant or city staff and provide comments or identify concerns that you may have with the application. This evening, city staff will not be providing any recommendations on the application or a detailed analysis of the proposal. This will occur later in the review process. Similarly, there will not be a debate on the merits of the proposal taking place between city staff and the applicant. Once we move on to the question and answer period, if you wish to ask a question or provide a comment, you will be required to use the meeting controls to raise your hand virtually. You can find the raise your hand button and other meeting controls at the bottom of your screen. For those of you who are joining us by traditional phone dial-in, you can press 9 to raise your virtual hand, and when you're called on to speak, you can press 6 to unmute yourself. And I can go over that again when we get to that point. You will be called by name to speak, and then you'll need to unmute yourself, and then we'd really appreciate it if you could clearly state your name and your address before you provide your comments or questions. Those that have registered for this meeting by providing a mailing or email address will be added to the mailing list to receive further information about the application if we get a full submission. So before we get into the presentation, I just wanted to quickly highlight the next steps in the application process. We're currently in the initial stages of the process. The applicant has completed pre-consultation technical review with a variety of internal city staff and external agencies, with the expectation that an application is forthcoming. After tonight's meeting, the applicant will need to incorporate comments from this neighborhood meeting and make a presentation through a public meeting process before the planning committee. The formal submission will be reviewed with comments received from city's technical departments and external agencies, as well as consideration of the public input. The neighborhood meeting is established early in the development process to ensure local concerns are incorporated or addressed through the city's review. Following tonight's meeting and review of the formal application, there will be a public meeting with council scheduled in the future. The public meeting is a statutory requirement under the Planning Act. Everyone who's registered for tonight's meeting, as well as all property owners that are within 120 meters of the subject lands, will be notified of the public meeting. The public meeting will also be held virtually, similar to tonight's meeting. At that meeting, the applicant will present their application to council and again answer any questions. At the public meeting, applicants generally identify that a neighborhood meeting was held, provide an overview and a response to any issues and concerns identified at that meeting, and then members of the public will again have an opportunity to provide either verbal or written comments. Following the public meeting, staff will continue the technical review process associated with the applications, and the applicant will make any necessary revisions to the proposal. Once the review process has concluded, a staff recommendation report will be brought forward to council for their consideration. All comments received throughout the review process, including those received at the neighborhood meeting and the public meeting, will be identified and addressed in that staff report and will form part of staff's recommendation on the application. A staff report for the application will likely be brought forward to council sometime in 2022. I will now move on to the applicant's presentation. As I mentioned, the application will be presented first, and then we'll have a question and comment period. So tonight, the applicant's planner, James Hunter of Innovative Planning Solutions, is here to walk us through their proposal. This proposed application is for a zoning bylaw amendment that would change the zoning of the subject lands from R2 to RM1 in order to allow for a semi-detached dwelling to be built on the property, with the intention that each half of that semi would be on its own separately conveyable lot. So at this point, I'm going to turn the control over to James, who will share his presentation on the proposed development.
Good evening, staff, Councillor Harris, members of the public, and those in attendance tonight. I'd like to thank Shelby, first of all, for the introduction and summary of the file. My name is James Hunter, and I'm a senior planner with Innovative Planning Solutions here in Barrie. I'm here tonight representing the applicant and owner of 157 Ardagh Road. This is a residential development for semi-detached units. I will provide a brief overview of the proposed development. After that, we will have a question comment period where members of the public will have the opportunity to provide any comments, questions, or anything else on your mind that might be important tonight. If there's any troubles throughout the meeting, again, just let us know if you have troubles hearing or anything, and staff and myself are here to answer anything that you might have. The subject lands are located at 157 Ardagh Road, which is the intersection of Ardagh and Snowshoe Trail. The lands have a frontage of 24.4 meters and land holdings of approximately 986 meters squared, or 0.2 acres. There is an existing garage on the lands that is to be removed, so for the subject application, it is considered a vacant property. The surrounding area is a low-density residential area. It does have a variety of lot sizes, dwelling types, and densities. The subject lands are in close proximity to parks, local services, public transit along Ardagh Road, and a number of commercial and local amenities. The subject lands are designated residential by the City of Barrie official plan, and this designation does permit all forms and tenure of housing. The City of Barrie official plan reflects the policies of provincial legislation, specifically relating to housing, and it recognizes that population growth will need to be accommodated for through a mix of new development, including redevelopment and intensification such as proposed. This is encouraged as it creates more compact development that uses land, resources, services, and infrastructure. For the subject application, there is no amendment required to the City of Barrie official plan. The subject lands are currently zoned residential single detached dwelling second density, which is R2 in the City of Barrie zoning bylaw. The current R2 zone does not permit semi-detached units. Therefore, rezoning is required for the specific land use. So what we are proposing tonight is a rezoning to the residential multiple dwelling first density, RM1, which would permit semi-detached. And the subject application would meet all of the standards for the RM1 zone. On this slide here, you can see the proposed development concept. It is for 2 semi-detached residential units. It will have a proposed height of 1 story with a conceptual basement, and is designed with consistent frontage along Ardagh Road. Access to the site would be provided by a double-wide driveway off of Ardagh Road, and this would provide sufficient parking for the proposed land use. In the future, after we're done with the zoning bylaw amendment, subsequent part lot control exemption application would be applied for, and this would essentially create 2 lots. So in reference to this on the slide, you can see that there is, I'm not sure you can see my mouse, a green lot, which is considered lot 2, and a red lot, which is considered lot 1. These are the semi-detached units. So there would be 1 unit on lot 1, 1 unit on lot 2, and the gray here is showing that is conceptual driveways. As you can see with a green overlay, there would be various areas for landscape buffers, increased setbacks, and respecting the adjacent land uses. Ultimately, this achieves a built form that's designed to maintain the general character, scale, orientation, and height of the neighborhood. All this collectively is ensuring that we have compatibility with the area. In summary, the application is for 2 semi-detached units at 157 Ardagh Road. Provincial and municipal policy does encourage a full range of housing types through infill development and intensification. as this does support complete communities and efficiently utilizes land. Focus is placed on underutilized parcels such as the subject lands. To permit semi-detached units, a zoning bylaw amendment is required to the residential multiple dwelling first density, which is the RM1 zone. And collectively, this application does conform with the goals and objectives of provincial and municipal legislation. That is my brief overview of the application, and I'll turn it back over to Shelby now, and we can have questions and comments. Thank you.